So it's fair to say a lot of public services in the United Kingdom are really suffering right now. Despite taxes going up for pretty much everybody, the public services that we are so-called enjoying, for lack of a better term, are getting worse, and it's not really getting any better anytime soon. Now, this of course applies to the most vital of things such as the National Health Service, but it also applies to things that are a little less important but still are very important in my opinion. Things like driving tests. The wait times for driving tests, practical driving tests, the thing you actually need to do to get your driving license, are going up massively. And it's been getting worse and worse and worse. And are the government doing anything about it? Well, they are doing something about it. But will it work? And why has it gotten so incredibly bad? Let's have a look, guys. Got the full story for you here. Shout out to LBC for covering this, but lots of other news networks have covered this as well. The BBC did a very interesting article a couple months ago about this, but since then, since that was published in April, I've got this one published at the end of July. It's a lot more recent, and yeah, it's gotten worse in just those 3 months. So let's have a look, guys. Let's dive into this. Learner drivers are being forced to wait more than 5 months to book a slot at 4 out of 5 driving test centres, according to the latest official figures. 258 locations in Britain had the maximum possible waiting time of 24 weeks for a test as of May 5th, which is 81% of all sites in the UK. Of course, 24 weeks is 6 months near as damn it, half a year pretty much at that point. And that is up from 161 at the start of the year. So at the start of the year in January, 161 test centres had that 24-week wait time for a test. Since then, nearly 100 have been added, an increase of well over 50% in the space of just 4 months as of these figures. AA Driving School, which obtained these figures from the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, the DVSA, warned the situation cannot get much worse. Oh, don't worry, it can. No matter how bad things are in the UK, trust me, they can get worse. I've been hearing the whole, oh, it can't get any worse for the last 15 years, basically my entire adult life at this point. They can get worse, they will get worse. But let's have a look what the government are doing. Are they actually trying to help this situation? Well, the average waiting time across all test centres has reached 22 weeks. So the average is pretty much almost the same as the maximum time allowed. So there are very few test centres where it's actually like 20 weeks or under 5 months. And believe it or not, the average wait time in February 2024, so 18 months ago, was 14 weeks, which isn't great, to be honest. That's not very good. That's over 3 months, but it's a lot better than 22. The DVSA attributes the backlog to an increase in demand and some people booking their test much earlier than before. People effectively panic buying tests. It's an absolutely bizarre situation, but here we are. Officials hope an increase in the number of tests being conducted will bring waiting times down. The number of future bookings in the DVSA system was 122,000 higher in June compared with the same month last year. Public spending watchdog the National Audit Office recently announced it will investigate the root causes of delays to book tests and how the DVSA is responding. Alexander said in April the Labour government inherited an enormous backlog but was acting fast. They have been in government for over a year now, so they haven't really acted that quickly up until now at least. She told the Commons Transport Select Committee her department aimed to reduce average waiting time to 7 weeks by summer 2026. I mean, that's reasonable. That's less than 2 months. I mean, it's not great. It's still waiting a decent amount of time, but it's workable. It's not ridiculous like it is at the moment. But will they actually be able to achieve that, and how are they going to go about doing that? Well, a government consultation on amending the test booking system closed last week, and this featured a plan aimed at stopping bots mass booking new slots so they can be resold on the black market for inflated prices. Yes, guys, believe it or not, people have been scalping driving tests. It used to be relatively innocent. It used to be PS5s and stuff like that people used to scalp, which, trust me, was very annoying. But driving tests as well, my goodness me. The Department for Transport also instructed the DVSA to offer additional overtime payments to incentivise instructors to conduct more tests. Staff at the agency qualified to conduct tests are being asked to voluntarily return to the front line, while the number of permanent trainers for new examiners is also being doubled. Emma Bush, who's the managing director of the AA driving school, said, with the vast majority of driving test centres now showing waits at the maximum time the system will allow, the situation cannot get worse. Never say something like that. Never say. That's like when you're in the UK. Don't ever say, oh, the weather's lovely, it can't rain today. Because it can, and it probably will. New measures designed to start bringing down waiting times were implemented at the start of April by the DVSA. There are signs of recovery, though, putting both the industry and learners on tenterhooks for more signs of improvement in the coming months. While we would expect these changes to take a few months to show a positive impact, it is still disappointing to see the learners are continuing to face an uphill battle when it comes to booking their driving test. DVSA Chief Executive Loveday Ryder, that's an incredible name, I'd love to go for a Loveday ride, said that the DVSA's goal to make booking a driver test easier and fairer for learner drivers. We are making progress on our plans. We are really grateful to everyone who has responded to our recent consultation, including learners, parents and driving instructors. We're now analysing the survey responses. Using your feedback, we'll be able to put our plan into the next steps on improving our test booking rules. Well, the first one really should be to stop the scalpers. How are they getting around that? Can they not just flag up that some guys booked like 20 driving tests at the same address or something like that, you know? Should there not be more verification? I mean, I know it's difficult, I get that, but should there not be more verification for these people booking tests? Should they not have to show their face or something? Should they not have to show their license, their provisional license? I don't know. I've not booked a driving test in a long time. It's been over 5 years for me. But I remember when I passed, I mean, it was very crazy times because it was the pandemic, and I don't think the wait times were that long then, because even though not as many people not as many people were taking tests, basically at that point for obvious reasons, and even though the amount of tests being conducted were less, it basically evened out. I remember, I think it was about 2 months, I think it was about 8 weeks for me to get mine. A top tip though for you guys that are trying to learn and trying to get a test soon, what you can do, and it's very tough to do it, you have to get really lucky, but there is a way to basically jump the queue when it comes to these driving tests, and I've heard this from a few people and they have managed to do it. You have to spend a lot of time doing it, you have to get very lucky, but what you basically have to hope for is that someone cancels their driving test booking and then you can swoop in and basically get one. It's a bit like when you get a last minute ticket to go and fly somewhere or something like that. You just got to hope that something's there, and you got to hope it's a time and date that works for you, but it can happen. It can happen. I have known that to happen for some people, so that is some way you can do it. But the overall kind of holistic problem here is the fact that these driving tests are taking way too long to come around. I mean, 5 months, that is such a long time. 6 months nearly, half a year. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think even with all the lessons that I did, and I failed first time, I did mine in kind of 2 stints really when it came to learning. I'm sure in total, I probably spent about 5 months actually learning the whole time to get my theory test done, get it done again because I had to do it twice because the first time it expired after so many years, and then attempt my driving test once and then attempt it again. You know, that whole process, I think if you kind of put it together, was probably about 6 months or something like that. So it's absolutely crazy. People having to start their driving lessons, do their first lesson and book their test. And even then, that's probably too long for a lot of people because, again, learning to drive is very expensive in the UK. I think when I passed, it was about £25 an hour to learn. And when I started, it was 20. So now, I dread to think what it is. It's going to be like 35 probably for someone like in London or whatever, probably, if not more. So, yeah. What needs to be done to combat this, guys? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For me, simple. Stop the bots. Stop the bots. Stop them doing what they're doing. That'll make things way better. Stop the scalpers. That is an absolutely ludicrous place that we find ourselves in right now. But it applies to a lot of facets of life, and driving tests clearly are not immune. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of this. Have a great day wherever in the world today, guys, and see you very soon.